I want to share an idea that I've been thinking about a lot over Pesach. Specifically, I think because of the whole, everything that's been going on in Eretz Yisrael, a lot of the tsaros. This morning on my way to Yeshiva, there was a terror attack not too far from my house. And just thinking about everything that's going on, and starting off this Zman, going into Shavuos, going towards the end of the year, I think there's a certain area that be very beneficial for us to focus on. And the more I was thinking about it over Pesach, and I had the opportunity to read a little bit, a book that came out, it caught my eye about Rav Yerucham Levavitz, and learning a lot about him and some of his shmuzim. So I want to share this idea. And that is that we're familiar here in Aish Torah with the 48 ways. So sometimes we forget the end of that phrase. It's the 48 ways to wisdom. Right? It's the Memches Kinyane HaTorah. The 48 ways are ways, they're not just chapters in itself that live on its own. There are 48 ways in order for a person to be able to acquire Torah. That's the point. And therefore, in every single one of the ways, every single area that we focus on and learn from, we have to understand how that enables us and allows us to be more successful in our growth and learning in Torah. So the Maral specifically speaks about this because, again, that's what the Mishnah says. It's 48 ways for Torah. So he explains why it's so. And in way number 41, I think, 40, 38, okay, depends how you count. So number 38 is Nosei B'ol Im Chaveiro, that a person has to carry the burden of his friend, the yoke of his friend. Now, what in the world does that have to do with learning Torah and growing in Torah? We understand that as a value. Someone's going through a difficult time. You want to try to feel the other person's pain. You want to be there for them. You want to help them. You want to invite them over. You want to cook their meals. You want to do chesed for them. That we get. But why is that a condition in order to be able to acquire Torah? So Maral says something very, very powerful. It's a little bit of a paradigm shift in the way we understand learning Torah. But he says it multiple times. He says, V'od more davar zeh, she'eno nivdal min haklal. By a person connecting to someone else that's in pain and having difficulty, it shows that he's not a selfish individual, but rather he's part of the klal, he's part of the group. Kasher Nosei B'ol Im Chaveiro, v'roya Torah, and therefore it's fitting for him to get Torah, shu ela klal kamo shehit ba'er, because the Torah was given to the klal, was given to the nation, not to the individual, like I explained. Where did he explain? So, in way number 30 and number 31, Lamed Lamed Aleph, he explains, Halamed, what is the 30th way to wisdom? Ahuv, that a person is loved by other people. We have to make sure that people love us. We have to do things that not distance people from us, that turn people off from us. We should have a certain way about us that people are comfortable around us, people want to be around us, people love us. Why is that important as one of the 48 ways? So he explains, Gam b'shvil shetzarech sheyeh toch haklal, because a person has to be part of the nation, he has to be part of the tzibor. Ubazeh shehu ahuv hu toch haklal. If people like him, so then he's able to be part of the group. Halamed Aleph, number 31, sheyeh ohev. He has to love everyone. You have to love people. Ritzon Lomar, she'oiv Hashem Yisbarach, and also other people. Why? Ki kasher hu oev es habrios, because when you love other people, hu toch klal habrios, then it allows you to be part of the klal. V'roi el Torah shenitna el klal, and now he's able to receive the Torah that was given to the klal. This is something a little bit different. A lot of times, especially in our secular education, it's all about us. Meaning, if I get into college, if I get the job that I want, if I get the master's degree, if I succeed, that's good for me. Is it good for anyone else? No. It's not going to make him a parnasa. It's not going to go ahead, maybe I'll get him a job one day, but it's not going to go ahead and allow him to further his development. It's about me and only me. Can I be nice to others? Can I do chesed with others? Can I tutor people? Can I try to help them? Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's all about me. If I do well, I'll succeed. If I don't do well, I won't succeed. Finished. When it comes to Torah, there's no room for that at all. Because the Torah was not given to individual people at Har Sinai that all happened to have been there. The Torah was given only to the klal. It was given to the entire nation. And therefore, if we're part of the nation, if we're part of the klal, if we're a klal dikayid, if we're someone who connects, who's loved by others, who loves others, who shares in other people's pain, so then we're roi for the Torah to be given to us. And Hashem will get extra siyata d'shmaya. Hashem will give us the Torah. We'll be able to be more successful in our learning. We'll be able to bring up the level of Torah learning in this world. However, if it's all about me and my success and my individual accomplishments, so then we're not part of the klal. If the reason I want to be successful and accomplished because if I'm successful, everyone is successful, like if Aaron Cutler writes, if I'm matzliach in my learning, so everyone is matzliach in learning because Torah has now grown in Klal Yisrael. Okay, that's great. That means that my learning is not a selfish learning. It's a learning that is helping the whole klal. But if at the same time I'm mean to someone else, or I do things that turn people off, or if I don't share in other people's pain, so then I'm not really part of the klal. It's hypocritical for me to say, I'm learning in the corner, and I'm messy, and I just keep to myself. And every time someone comes over to me, I give them a cold shoulder because I got to be matzliach in learning because I got to raise the level of Torah in Klal Yisrael. It's a joke. It's literally a joke because that's not consistent with any of a person's behavior if he's not looking to be part of the klal. Now, Nosei B'ol Im Chaveiro doesn't just mean that I feel someone else's pain. What it means, if you take the words literally, and the Maral speaks this out explicitly, is an ol is a yoke. It means you have to think about someone carrying his luggage. He just came back from the airport and he gets dumped somewhere outside of the old city, and now he has to schlep all of his luggage into the old city. So if you walk next to him and say, I feel so bad for you. I feel this must be so hard for you. This once happened to me. I know it. That's not Nosei B'ol Im Chaveiro. Nosei B'ol Im Chaveiro is when you lift up the package with him and you feel the weight. Oh my gosh, this is so heavy. This is so heavy. And you walk, and you're feeling it with him. You're actually B'ol Im Chaveiro. You're taking off some of the yoke from your friend. So if it's working mentally, okay. But physically, you have to get into the yoke. You have to feel it, and you have to try to carry it with him to alleviate the difficulty, the yoke, from the other person. That requires major headspace and work to really feel someone's pain, that I'm in it with them. The Chavetz Chaim, during the First World War, slept on the floor. Why? Because he said they're soldiers, Jewish and non-Jewish, that are out there, that are fighting, that have very, very difficult situations. They're not sleeping on a bed. I got to feel what they're feeling. I have to be in it. I can't just say, I feel bad for them, I'm down for them. I have to feel it. I have to really feel bad for them. So he felt it. He slept on the floor with them. In Kelm, Rav Yerucham Levavitz, the Mashgiach of the Mir, was a Talmud of the Alter of Kelm. So in Kelm, Nosei B'ol Im Chaveiro was one of the fundamental characteristics of all of the Musar that was learned in Kelm. Kelm was super famous for its intense Musar. In Mirz Hashem, in a future time, I'm going to speak about how morning Seder started at 10 o'clock. Who would like that? 10 o'clock morning Seder? Anyone? Sounds good, huh? Okay, so we're going to incorporate that possibly, but we're also then have to incorporate all of the other scheduling of Kelm, which I'll tell you about another time. First, I'm going to sign you on to the 10 o'clock start, and then we'll talk about the rest. Okay, but there was a very, very intense avoda and character development place, very, very distinguished institution, very hard to get in. And Nosei B'ol Im Chaveiro was like the prime midah that they're working on, to the extent that when Rav Yerucham was putting together all of the Alter of Kelm shmuzim, very, very powerful shmuzim, there was no order to the way it was put in, because there was no order to the way they were given, except all the ma'amarim on Nosei B'ol Im Chaveiro were first. They were the first in all of the Sfarim because that was the most important nosei of everything that the Alter of Kelm spoke about. The Alter of Kelm was known on Shabbos that his face looked completely different than the rest of the week. You actually saw a physical glow coming from him. He looked totally different. There was one Shabbos that looked exactly the same as every other day. So they asked him, what's wrong? So he said, I don't know if you heard, there was a certain person who was a super outspoken anti-Jewish and anti-religious person in the town. He wrote many, many articles, anti-Semitic articles, and he had died on Friday. So he said, the pain that this person must be in Shemayim is so terrible. How in the world could we be happy right now on Shabbos? He felt it. He felt the other person's pain. And when his son, Rav Nachum Zev, smirked when he heard that this person died, he gave it to him over the head. He said, how in the world can you be happy? He said, what's with you? Are you not sharing his burden? Who knows? Maybe he died without doing tshuva, and you're laughing? I mean, he actually felt the real pain of what this person was going through. He writes in another letter, the Alter Kelm wrote as follows, says, I only have a desire to get close to those whom I determine as sharing a fellow's yoke, with no mixture of self-gratification whatsoever, not for money and not for honor. If I find such a person, I'm naturally devoted to him with profound love, to carry out their will for their benefit, both physically and spiritually. Because I was created for such individuals. I mean, all the people we wanted to be close to were people that had this midah of Nosei B'ol Im Chaveiro. And this is something that, obviously, we want to have an amazing Shavuos. We all want to have an amazing end of the Zman, end of the year. So this is a midah that we really have to try to work on and build in ourselves and build with others. Now, I want to talk about a few different ways of how this works, and I want to speak about how this will affect, I think, directly our learning, specifically this Zman, Bez Hashem. So I'm going to tell you two stories that I heard very recently. I know the exact people that it happened to, about Nosei B'ol Im Chaveiro. The first thing is that this really requires us to really think about other people. Every person should have a Seder during their day for a couple minutes to think about the needs of other people. This is a very good habit for our future, Mirz Hashem, when we're married, but it's a midah already that now has to be developed. We have to think about what other people are going through. Are they having difficult times? Are they having good times? Really think about it. Like, have a Seder, thinking about other people. I know it doesn't come so natural to us, and that's why we have to have a Seder for it, because we don't have a specific time, we're never going to do it. We have to actually think about other people, and we have to think about what makes them happy or makes them sad. Not what we think would make them happy or sad. We have to really get into their head and their needs. There was a person, a woman who's married, who works, has a very, very intense job, high-level job. Baruch Hashem, she's very successful. And her mother-in-law mother-in-law's being a nice lady, and offered her to pay for her housekeeping. That she should be able to bring someone in to help her around the house, to clean, etc. The daughter-in-law was super duper insulted. Super insulted. It had a big strain on their relationship. So, like, what? The mother-in-law is trying to help out the daughter-in-law. You know, she's working, she's busy. So she's saying, here's a present. You know, some people give a diamond bracelet. I'm giving you a housekeeper. Like, here, all on me, with no end in sight. What an amazing present. First of all, anyone else wants to do that, I'll give you my bank information. No problem. I got it, okay? So what an amazing present. And she was super duper insulted. Why? Because her mother, the daughter-in-law's mother, never had a housekeeper, was always able to do it on her own. And in her mind, having that help made her feel like she's a failure. And really what her mother-in-law was saying was, look, I see you can't handle the household, you're very busy, etc. So here, let me give you a housekeeper. Now that wasn't the mother-in-law's intention, but the way that the daughter-in-law had grown up, that's how she connected to such a thing. Now, I can't even relate to this, right? But if you get into someone, if you want to really help someone, Or if you want to see, does someone really have a need? Is someone having a difficulty? Does someone need me to fill their void? You have to understand their void and understand if this is going to be helpful to them or not helpful to them. This requires iyun. This is why iyun learning helps. It really requires us to delve in with chakiras and sometimes having to bring a raya and sometimes having to discuss it with other people to really get into that. This is in order to be Nosei B'ol Im Chaveiro in the real way. We have to understand what's bothering the person. Does the person need me to help carry the suitcase? Or does the person just need me to coach him on and to give him chizuk and to talk to him and to send him texts? Or what does he need? Not what I would want if I was in that situation. What does that person need in order to be to feel better? And the more that we do that, the more that we're part of the klal. There are many different opportunities that we have in the yeshiva to be part of the klal. And we all could go into this man and saying, I'm going to accomplish this. I'm going to accomplish that. And we're going to say it's a makos man. We're going to be submerged in makos. So I'm going to go ahead and finish makos. I'm going to know makos. I'm going to really give it my all better than I ever thought that I could. Okay, but what about the others? What about the other guys in our shir? What about our roommates? What about other people? How are they going to be matzliach? So if that's not on our mind, then we're lacking in being part of the klal. If we see things that are needed in the yeshiva, sfarim, putting away things, whatever it is, if we don't say, that's not my job, if someone ever says those words, that's selfish. But if someone says, but okay, let me do something, if every person would do a little bit, we'd all together be able to have a better yeshiva, so that means I'm part of the klal, I'm a ben yeshiva, I'm part of the yeshiva. This is my home, this is where I'm at, this is my family right now. And I have to invest in that in a significant way. So here I'd like to ask, who here in this room would like to finish Maseches Makos by the end? If they could, who would want to finish Maseches Makos? Everyone here has a need and a want to finish Maseches Makos. That means that it's every single person's responsibility in this room to make sure that every other person in this room finishes Maseches Makos. We want to fill each other's wants and needs. So that might mean that late at night, you might have to learn with a chavusa to help them finish. It might mean that beinas darim. It might mean on Friday and Shabbos. It might mean during the chavusa to help forward. If you know that someone needs extra help, push him to speak to his Rebbe. It's on each and every one of us to make it that every single one of us could accomplish our goals. And this isn't just, Nosei B'ol Im Chaveiro is not just with, unfortunately, it's always interpreted as difficulties, bad things. It's also in happy things. In simchas, if you hear of something good that happened to someone else, we have to rejoice. It can't be that there's a siyum and a bunch of people are making a siyum and someone leaves early from the meal. It can't be. How could that be? If you're really happy for the person, then you will totally be in it and want to participate in it in its full to the end. You don't want it to end. Just like the person that's making the siyum doesn't want it to end, you also don't want it to end. There's a whole different way of looking at our existence. We're not individuals, and we are individuals, but we're not selfish individuals. And we're not all about our own successes. We're about our peace in the klal, about our ability to connect. And the more that we connect, the more that we're roy to Torah, and the more that we're able to rejoice in other people's simchas. And of course, an automatic outcome of that is when people are having difficulties, that we're in it with them, and we think about what their needs are and how we could go ahead and fill it. So my bracha to all of us is that we don't have a selfishly individual, successful Zman, but that we all have together a tremendously successful Zman, and we all feed off of each other's energies, we all care about each other, we all look out for each other, we all try to make sure that every one of us are able to be matzliach, and every one of us are able to go ahead and get to the goals. And then Bezrat Hashem, we're going to go towards the end with Shavuos and the final banquet and the end of the Zman with a tremendous sense of accomplishments. It's not going to be one Masechta, it'll be multiple Masechtas and multiple reviews and multiple accomplishments in all different areas. And Be'ez Hashem will be able to dance together in the Kabbalah Torah as a klal. And as part of all of this, this afternoon, in Mirz Hashem, we are going to pay a Shiva call to the D family, unfortunately, that suffered the terrible terrorist attack already, it seems like a long time ago, but almost a week and a half ago. We're going to go, and that's part of being Nosei B'ol Im Chaveiro and feeling part of the tsar of Klal Yisrael. But again, it's not just like I go and I leave. That's not enough. We have to think about it. We have to think what it means, how this affects the family, how it affects other people, the community. We have to try to get in it. We have to get in it. We have to become emotional. We have to become sensitive to these types of occurrences. And Bezrat Hashem, through that, again, as we said, we're going to be much more Klal Dika Yidden, and Bez Hashem be able to bring much more Kiddush Hashem into the world.